49ers made it to the Super Bowl this season after 2 straight losses in the NFC title game. The Niners looking to win the Super Bowl for the first time since '94. Christian McCaffrey is looking to follow in his father's footsteps and win his first Super Bowl. He's also looking to be the first regular season rushing champion to win a Super Bowl since Terrell Davis in 1998. And Brock Purdy will be the 5th different quarterback to start in a Super Bowl for the 49ers. He'll look to join Steve Young and Joe Montana as the only ones to get it done. Here's Purdy on talk of being a game manager.
I laugh and sort of joke around with it, but more than anything, it's sort of a compliment just in terms of you get to go into a system and you play within the system really well, because there's not a lot of quarterbacks that can, yeah, people can say what they want, but at the end of the day, man, I think it comes down to winning. And if you can do your job well in the system and win, I think you're doing it well.
See how he feels. Sometimes I feel like a set manager. Just try to run things, just run things here on set. But they tell us we're winning, so I'm cool with the title if that's what it is. Okay, but it's not about me. Chris, tell me this: if the Niners win, will the bigger reason be Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, or you think Nick Bosa and that Niners defense?
It's going to be the 49ers defense, and it's in large part because of the quarterback on the other sideline in Patrick Mahomes. Like, you can't afford to allow this to be a shootout on Super Sunday between Mahomes and Purdy, because the biggest disparity in this matchup is the difference in the quarterbacks, right? Where Patrick Mahomes is on a GOAT trajectory, and Purdy, for all of the great things that he's been able to do, is in his first full season as the full-time starter. So I guess there's a little bit of a cushion that you have to provide for that quarterback, which is being able to keep the game as competitive as you can, which is making sure that it's closely contested. Again, that's easier said than done when you're talking about a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, yeah. But if you look at that 49ers defense, they just have not been up to the task throughout the playoffs. You're talking about the 2 playoff games that they've played in, forcing opponents to punt a grand total of 3 times.
Unbelievable.
So 20 drives from opponents on the 49ers defense, only 3 punts.
Yep.
They've relied on multiple turnovers to be able to climb back in those games. And I'm counting the turnovers on downs with the 4th downs against the Lions in Conference Championship week as turnovers. But that's what they've been relying on. Well, guess what? Patrick Mahomes don't turn the ball over. His last 6 playoff games, all 6 playoff wins, he's got 11 touchdowns, no turnovers, and he's only been sacked 5 times.
That's unbelievable.
So they're going to have to play a really good game and force some negative plays in order to keep it close for that 49ers offense, and particularly for Brock Purdy.
Yeah. I like where your head is as far. I don't think they can do it. I just be real. Like, I just don't. You think about Mahomes when he plays San Francisco, like he gets after him, right? Like, whatever the defenses are, they haven't done a great job of getting pressure. They haven't done a good job of stopping the run. Like you said, 3 punts in 2 games. Like, they haven't been the defense that we thought.
How'd it work out for the Ravens when they went up Patrick Mahomes?
Exactly. So here's my thing. Purdy, to beat Mahomes, your quarterback has to play efficient and be fearless. And so that's what Purdy's got to do. If they're going to win this game, he's going to be fearless. He's going to make a throw that everybody goes, why are you going to make that throw? Tight window. Think about Green Bay, right? I think it was 3rd down. Puts a dot, just puts a dot in. Great tight coverage, has to make the play. Pull the ball down. Go extend the drive with your legs. Whatever is going to happen. Purdy is going to have to carry this team because, to your point, the defense has not carried them the way we expected them to.
No.
It has really been offense and him matching, whether it's the last drive of the 4th quarter or this comeback that they had. And again, the turnovers on downs, I count the defense does get a win there, right? But when you're talking about beating Patrick Mahomes, if he's playing good ball, Brock Purdy is going to have to match it. So Brock Purdy's performance is going to have to match that of Patrick Mahomes to get the win. Like, it's just, again, got to be efficient. I'm not saying your numbers got to be higher, but you can't turn it over. You can't take sacks, right? You can't do the things that Mahomes doesn't do to lose games. And I think that's going to be the ask of Brock Purdy. Everybody talks about, like, system and, like, for whatever you think about Patrick Mahomes, him going to an Andy Reid system was very beneficial, right? Like, so when we talk about going into, and I'm not saying he hasn't made Andy Reid significantly better, because he has. Reid only won Super Bowls with Mahomes. So this is not a slight on Mahomes, but they were already a good team. And we act like he brought them from, this wasn't like a Burrow situation where you walk into nothing and flip that thing around, or a Peyton Manning, flip that thing around. They both were coming into pretty decent football teams. Now, Mahomes, GOAT trajectory, all those kind of things. But, man, Purdy is going to have to play. Like, he is going to have to ball out in this game to set this team up to win. And I just think from an offensive perspective, they're going to have to match. And at some point, Purdy's going to have to do that.
No doubt, Jeff. And it's a fine line between telling the guy to go out there and be fearless and make plays and avoid having those toxic plays, right?
For sure.
Avoid the turnover-worthy plays. Avoid trying to bounce the football off of a DB's face mask in order to have your most explosive pass play on the day. Avoid those sack fumbles in the pocket. Like, you've got to make sure that you play a buttoned-up game, but it's also got to be a productive game. You can't play afraid.
Can't be scared.
Here's why I push back and say the defense has got to be the catalyst. The defense has got to dictate the complexion of the game because we know what Pat Mahomes can do when he's allowed to control what the game looks like. We saw what happened in Baltimore last weekend, right? When they were able to get out to that early lead. They scored on their first 2 possessions, both double-digit play drives, the length of the field, and then all of a sudden you blinked and it was 14-7. And guess what happened? The Baltimore Ravens offense got away from their game plan. They only gave it to their running backs on running plays 6 times, and that was the #1 rush offense. So again, 15 on the other sideline makes coaches on the offensive side do things that are uncharacteristic. The last thing you want to do is put pressure on the play caller, which in turn puts pressure on your quarterback. That's why you got to keep it as a close game. Remember, that game against the Baltimore Ravens for the Chiefs, it was never really outside of being a one-possession game.
Absolutely.
And yet the Baltimore Ravens got completely away from their game plan. If you're that 49ers defense, if you're Steve Wilks, you absolutely have to avoid that. Last point I'm going to make, make sure you try to score first. So defense, get a stop, allow your offense to score complimentary football.
Fast.
The Kansas City Chiefs are 10-1 this season. When they score first, they're 4-5 in all the other games.
Right.
So San Francisco 49ers take pressure off your young quarterback by playing good defense, getting stops early, and creating a soft place for your quarterback to ease into the game.
If you're Wilkes, though, it is a game of allow Pacheco to be the guy. And I'm just telling you, like, let him get the runs, right? Like, so if you're giving up 4 yards a clip, like, stay with it. Because here's the deal about Andy Reid. Like, think whatever you want. And he is very disciplined in playoffs about running the football. And it's 100% different than, September for Andy Reid don't look nothing like February Andy Reid, right? Like, he calls on the run. They run the ball. Pacheco's leading the league in rushes, in the playoffs, right? I mean, in yards in the playoffs. But make that dude beat you. Do not let Mahomes, Kelsey, don't let those guys be. Don't let them be explosive plays. Make them, because at some point, every offense with a Mahomes gets impatient and they want to make those plays. So if I'm Wilkes, I'm thinking whatever I got, I'm going to bait them and make them continue to run. Trust the run, and force them to be as patient as you can make them. Because if you start giving up big plays, Katie barred the door, but it's going to get ugly because they take advantage on that back end. You take away Ward on that back end, that San Francisco defense, it can get scary, right? So when you talk about force Pacheco and that offensive line to win the game for you, make Mahomes just be a manager of the game and allow that, and that gives you the best chance for Purdy and that offense to match score for sure. You don't want it to be a shootout. I don't mean it that way, but at some point, Purdy is going to have to step up. Because Mahomes is not going to get shut out. They're not going to be closed down. This defense isn't good enough to just blank them out. At some point, Purdy's going to have to execute this offense, be efficient, be fearless. And here's the whole deal, because we just made the comment about bouncing off of somebody's face mask. Go back and watch the 28-3 comeback from Tom Brady. When it hit the dude in the hands and the face mask, goes up and Edelman makes a catch. Everybody gets these benefits, right?
That's a great catch.
So Ayuk makes a great catch. There's a lot that happens in football games. Don't be scared to throw that ball, because Brady ain't afraid of it, right? And you got 7. So you can't be scared to go match it, but Purdy is going to have to play lights out for this 49ers team to win.
Any concern, guys, about the moment being too big for him?
No concern about that.
No. I think this is a game of execution. I'm with you. I don't think anybody because no one's walking into this going, if Purdy, doesn't do this, and for Mahomes, these guys are going to have to go play and execute. Like they know what's at stake. Go let it rip. Like I think both guys can go play with that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep it rolling here. When we come back on First Take, a little NBA to get into.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình. Video ngày hôm nay mình sẽ hướng dẫn các bạn tô màu sản phẩm voi rừng. Bây giờ chúng ta cùng bắt đầu nào.
Tiếp tục đi tô màu nhé các bạn nha. Rồi là mình sẽ tô màu xong, nếu các bạn nghe thì mình xin một like thì kênh cảm ơn tất cả các bạn rất là nhiều.
hôm nay nắng mưa lung linh.
Bây giờ mình sẽ tiếp tục đi tô màu nha các bạn.
Ah, shit. Ấy à, con đĩa.
Đầu tiên mình sẽ đi chọn màu tôi cũng trình và bạn sẽ chọn quá trình đi tô màu nhé.
Gì mạnh chó này.
Làm dài.
Bố mới chơi mẹ. Mẹ
Mình nhìn
con
lên
ngu
đây
quê.
mình chửi làm cái gì?
Rồi.
Mình nhìn lên đây mình chửi làm cái gì?
Chỉ đây mày
Nhé. Chơi con muỗi.
giết nó nữa mày.
Bẻ lắm qua mẹ bè. Điển gì. Ấy cái vậy là mình đã đi tô màu xong nữa là các bạn thấy mình tô màu đẹp hay cho mình xin mình like đăng ký kênh cảm ơn tất cả.